Hi there folks, it's Brittany Jackson from Learning Technologies, and today I'm going to talk you through some of the basics of using Excel. So here you can see I am in Chrome, my web browser, and I'm going to go to my.hiram.edu. So once you download Excel, it will not take you too long. So here you can see I am on my.hiram.edu. So when you're looking to download any of the Office Suite apps, if you click on Email Plus and then come over here to these dots up in the upper left-hand corner and then click on Office 365 here, and then you can see we are in the Office 365 app space, and over here on the right you see this thing that says Install Office. So if you click on that, here you would click on Office 365 apps and then follow the instructions in order to download it. Now, I already have it downloaded, so I'm going to switch the screen I'm sharing so we can jump into some of the basics here. So now you can see we are in Excel. When you log in and click on the Excel app on either your desktop or laptop, the first thing you're going to see here is this home screen. And here, if you've got previous files you've done, so you can see here I've got some down here. But if I click on Blank Workbook, I want to start from scratch. I click on Blank Workbook, and I double click it and open it here. And so here, this is called your workbook. So here down across the bottom, you see you've got sheet 1. We can rename that sheet. So if we want to say that we're going to put the prices here, we can do that. Hit enter. So now you see that we've changed the name of that. We can also add new sheets, and it'll automatically name it as the next sheet. So sheet 1, sheet 2. And I'm going to put this one as products. So here I now have prices and products. If you're looking through here, what's highlighted right here, this little green box, that is called a cell. This entire thing is called a worksheet. These two different things, each down here, are called spreadsheets. And across this ribbon, across the top, you see we've got a bunch of different features. If you're familiar with Microsoft Word, you probably will see that it's similar in some ways. You know, it's got the ribbon look to it, but obviously the items across the top are a little bit different. So I want to kind of touch base on any of these. So just like in Word, you've got the home section, and you can change, you know, the text size, the text font, bold, italics, just, you know, all of the things you would normally do with text in Word or anything like that. And there's this extra little thing here that's the borders. So you can put borders around the whole thing. You can put one big thick border around everything, around a particular cell, whatever makes sense. You can have no borders, except right now it has no borders even though we see a grid. There aren't any borders if you were to go and print this. But you can see there's a bunch of different options here. You can also change the border type and the border color. So you've got options there. You can also fill in a cell. So if I want to put this as yellow for whatever reason, you can now see that it changed to yellow. I'm going to say no fill because I didn't actually want it to be yellow. And so then you can see that we've got where you want the text to sit. So do you want it to be centered in the cell? Do you want it to be lowered to the bottom? Do you want it top aligned, right aligned, left aligned? Do you want to be able to tab in and out a little bit here? What kind of cell is it here? So general information. Are you going to be using numbers? Is it going to be money? So if it is, we'll put, you know, English dollars, so that if you put in any numbers here, it'll count it automatically there now as American dollars. I'm going to delete that because I don't need it right this moment. But you can also choose date, accounting information, percentages, fractions, scientific notation, anything that you might need. And then you can always set up conditional formatting. So here you can say data bars are a certain way, icon sets, etc. You can also format it as a table, and you can kind of choose from options here. So if I chose this one, you can see that it has started to fill that in as this particular table. But I'm going to go ahead and go back to home here and choose format table. And actually, I'm just going to go ahead and delete both of those just so that you can see this. Now you can do cell styles. They have options of like good, bad, neutral, data modeling, title and heading, you know, themes. So you have a bunch of options on how you can make it look so that it's easier to read for yourself or for others. And then over here you've got insert, and here you can insert a cell. So I'm going to put this as a test, testing, testing, testing. So you can see if I highlight this entire row, which to do that I click on the number on the left-hand side, not just the cell. So if I highlight this, you can see it's just the cell highlighted, right? The green box is around just the cell. But if I click on number 2, now I'm highlighting that entire row. So if I do that and I click insert, it's going to insert an entire row. Now let's say we didn't, we only wanted to insert in just this column right above this particular cell. If you go ahead and click on just the cell and click insert, you'll now see that it just inserted a cell. The thing to be careful of here is that if each of the columns are matching to a specific person or a specific thing, if you insert a cell here and it's just an individual cell, it may throw off your entire spreadsheet. So you're going to want to be careful that if you're adding anything, you do add whole rows or whole columns, if that makes more sense. So we can also do columns. So if I click on that and I click on insert again up here, now you see it added another column. You can also delete cells. So if I hit delete cells, it's going to take it back to what it was. And formatting, you can change the height. You can do a row height. And then here, if you're looking for one of the basic formulas, which is sum, you can click on this little sum symbol. So if you click on that, you see that you could do sum, you can do average, you can do count numbers, max, min. You can also sort your spreadsheet. You can do that column that I have highlighted right now over here. I could sort that A to Z. Now it's not going to change anything because they're both called testing. Or I could sort it Z to A. Or I can do a custom sort, and I want to expand the selection so I can do a full custom sort. And then here you can choose what column you want. If you've put in headers, these headers would show up here as the names instead of the column names. So I'm going to hit cancel because I'm not going to filter right now. You can also, if you've got a large data set, do a find and select or find and replace, just like you could in a Word document. So in the insert option up here, here's where you can find pivot tables or recommended tables. You can add in pictures and shapes just like you can in Word. You can choose what kind of charts and tables and what they look like. You can add in comments just like you can in a Word document on the Review tab. If you click on Draw, you can actually go in and draw something. So if you want to draw something or highlight something on the spreadsheet that you want people to notice, if I grab this particular pen here and I go ahead and do this, now you can see that I'm circling the testing to draw someone's attention to it when I send it to them. I just went in and used the eraser to delete it. And then here, the page layout, here's where, just like in Word, you can change the margins. So when you go to print the document, you also have the option of portrait and landscape as your orientations. Size, you can change it if you're printing to a bigger piece of paper because it's a large document. Then under formulas, again, we've got that auto sum feature. You can choose, if you don't know what type of function or what function you need, you can choose insert function and it'll come up with a bunch of different recently used, or here's a list of all of them. You can typically look up and see, if you click on this over here, it's going to tell you what it'll do. So what do you need to do to make this happen? Then you can also, up here, you could click on recently used. You could do, if you're always going to use financials, you can click on this one and say, I want this particular feature. And then you see that over here it starts giving you the information that you need to fill in. But you can also do date and time. You can change it, make sure it's all text. And then math functions, etc. So you've got all of these great options up here. Data, you can go ahead and import data if you need to, sort and filter, convert the cells to other things if you need to, create text to columns. If you receive a spreadsheet and you have a first and last name in their own column, but you want it to be in one column, you can combine those two by using text to columns, and it can walk you through that process as well. And then if you click on Review, these are very similar to the items that you have in the Word review section. Spell check, thesaurus. Then you've got like workbook statistics and things like that. If you click on view, here's again where you can come up and see the normal view, which is what we're in now. Go back to that page break view, which you can see the page right now is highlighted around the 4 cells that I have information in right now. So that's what would print. So anything in this blue box would be on one single page. You can also go page layout so you can see all of this, and you can click on showing the rulers, and you can zoom in, you can freeze panes. So if we want to keep this column because it's got a person's name and we want to keep track of which person it is every single time, you can freeze the first column. So then if I start scrolling, column A will always be there, but you can see across the top that column B, they go back and forth when I'm scrolling. You can also freeze the top row, and so you see up here, freeze top row. If we do that, it'll keep row 1 and then go up and down from there. That's what's in your ribbon for Excel. So I'm going to go ahead here, and I'm going to put that this is the prices list, and I'll make that bold so that Excel will probably pick it up as a header. And I'm just going to put some numbers in here. So I'm going to say, I'm going to put $1, $2, and $3. So if I come over here and I type in product name, quantity, total revenue, and again, I'm going to bold those. And you see I've got this cut off a little bit, but if I take right here and you see how it becomes kind of that little crosshairs, if I double click on that, it expands it out. Same right here. So now I can enter in more text and see everything I've written in there. So then under product name, let's say we've got candy bars, chips, and soda. We're going to say that there were 5 candy bars sold, 5 chips sold, and 8 sodas sold. Now I want to be able to add the total revenue. So now if I put in this formula, and this is a sum formula, so here I'm going to do equals sum, parenthesis, and then I'm going to go over to the prices tab. I'm going to say candy bars were $2, and then I'm going to multiply that. Come back over here to products, and I'm going to say I want it to multiply because this is how many were purchased. I'm going to click there. So now you can see we've got prices, so that's drawing from the prices spreadsheet, and the products spreadsheet down below. To end this particular formula, you put an end parenthesis, and if I hit enter, you're going to see now that 5 candy bars, and we said that was on the prices at A3, so $2 right here, equals $10. So we got $10 in revenue. Now, I could do that step again, and so I'm going to say for chips, equals sum, and I'm going to go over here back to that prices, and I'm going to say chips are $1. And I'm going to hit the multiplying sign while I'm still over here because you want to make sure that you keep that prices. I'll come back here over to products, and I will click on this cell here. So the one for chips, the quantity for chips. Hit that end parenthesis and hit enter. Now, let's say for example the sodas are the same price as the chips were. If I take my little crosshairs, make sure it becomes a little crosshair to that dark dot right there. If I take that and I pull this down, you can now see that I've pulled in that same formula. But this time I just need to update the cell here. So this one's actually B4 now for this particular formula. So these here, you can see I brought down that formula, and now all we have to do to fix that is take that back to A2, because if you look here, we're going to go back to this cell for a minute. We had A2. It's automatically going to increase incrementally based on when you pull it down. So here we've got the products B4 is correct, right? We're in, for soda, the quantity is 8, and the price we chose here right now is sitting at the A3, which is $2. If we come back up here, this one is set to be at A2 and then B3. So A2, if we come over here, is $1. So A2 over here is $1. So that's why chips, $5. Now if we wanted this to stay the same, we wanted the price to stay the same, if we click on the price and we just go in and we say we want it to be at A2 as well, so the $1 rate. If you change just the number of the cell that was over on the other page, hit enter, now you see that at $1, each of those is $8. Another thing you could do is say you want to keep track of your checkbook. Put in information, credit, debit, and balance. So starting balance, and again I'm going to double click this so that it expands out and this doesn't roll over into this cell at all. So we're going to say the starting balance here was $25. So here you see it's just a simple 25, but I want it to be money, so I'm going to come up here, click on this money sign or dollar sign, and now you see it changed it to dollars. I'm now going to say at store one, I purchased something for $10. And again, I'm going to take all of these because I want all of these to be dollar signs. I'm going to go ahead and click and select all the cells, which you can do by grabbing one cell and using Shift and selecting the whole cells that you want. If it's a whole column, you can do this, click $, and while it won't change if there's text in the cell, if I put information in the cell, it will make it $. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure all of these are $, because I do want them to be $. So I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, that was a debit from my account, so I'm going to say equals sum I2, because that's the cell. You see that it highlighted it as blue, and then I'm going to say minus H3. So now you see that that's the second one in red on the same spreadsheet. Put that in parentheses, and now you see it's doing the math appropriately. Now, if I come over here and I say that the next item was $5, well, the formula here is already written to subtract from the balance above from the debit column here. So I could go in, grab that little crosshairs, drag it down, and you see it changed it now so that it's I3 minus I4. Now, if I had a credit to my account, so I'm going to say I got $250 back, here I would do equals sum I4 comma G5. You can see the two cells that are selected there. For adding, you don't put a plus sign, you just put a comma for this formula. And then hit end parenthesis, and now you see it's added it back in. Now, if I say that I've got a debit now here, I went to store 3, and I spent $15, so I overdrew my account. If I do this, you're going to see that it stays the same, right? Because let's look at that cell. It says equals sum I5, which would be this one. And if you click in here, it'll show you which ones it means. So it's I5 plus G6. Well, there's nothing in G6, so it's not going to change. But I want it to be subtraction again. So if I click on this and I go I5, because that's still what I want to pull from, and I go minus H6, you see now it's highlighted the correct item. If I hit enter, now you see I've got $2.50 that it's overdrawn by. That's what the parentheses around that mean. You can also average numbers. So say we want the average of these 3 cells, right? So if we go equals average, start parenthesis, and we go boom, these are all in a row. I can select all of them like that, and now you see it's C2 colon C4, so that's grabbing that whole row. But I also want to do just this $5 over here as well. So now you can see that changed a different color because it's just pulling. Now if I want to say $5 plus all of these cells right here, now you see it's become H4 colon H6 for this as well. If I hit it in parentheses, the average of those 6 cells is $8.60. The other most common formula, so this was average here, just so you can see that this was average. So say you want to add up all of this text here. So the candy bars, chips, we just want to see how many different types of items there were. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say equals count if. So that's going to tell, we're about to tell it what it needs to count if there's information there. So parentheses, so it's going to ask for the range. So it kind of tells you here what you need to enter for this formula. So the range would be the cells. So I'm going to say that cell through the one above it. So through A7. So A2 colon A7, comma, and now you've got to enter the criteria. Now I could say, if it says candy bars, and parentheses, and you see here, it's reading that candy bars was written once. Now say I just want to count all of the text. I replace out where that says candy bars, and I put a star sign. Now it's going to count anywhere that there's text. So now we see that in cells A2 through A7, there's 3 cells that have text in them. Let's do this one more time and say we back that out. And we're saying soda this time. So you see it's not contingent on capitalization or anything like that, because it's still reading that one even though we did soda with a lowercase s. So those are the most common and most frequently used formulas that people utilize. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Learning Technologies. We're located in the library. Feel free to come visit us. Good luck!